Hello, teacher. I am Bianca Pucci, one of your students in this wonderful subject called language testing. For this activity, we're supposed to explain how the system of rubric is is used, how it works, and what is the difference between an analytic rubric and an holistic one, and a holistic one. So I'm gonna share my screen to show two rubrics that I chose for this activity. And I'm gonna explain um, first how I would score using these rubrics and then a little contrast between the two kinds of rubric. So first of all, I have an analytic rubric about giving opinion in writing. So we can see that a rubric is basically an assessment scoring system, a very objective one. That is the idea. And the idea is also to evaluate, to assess a work and activity the students do um, in different components, because sometimes it's not just one thing that they created, but they created um, a system of different things, different components. So the components or the criteria that I would evaluate when students provide their opinions, its purpose and focus. So the maximum grade, the highest grade would be an opinion that is clear, supported through the whole piece. Also organization, that has introduction, conclusion, transitions, ideas flow logically and smoothly, evidence and details. So again, so we have introduction and conclusion in the first in the previous criteria. So here we have details, we have some convincing supporting ideas, and then we have powerful words. Of course, we have to use nice vocabulary to fulfill this activity. And finally, the editing part, because not always the first work, first writing piece will be the ideal one. The ideal one is actually the ones that come after that when we make um, corrections and we edit some details to have a nice final product. So this is very simple. It's a very general um, scoring rubric for opinion, but for this kind of rubrics, we can always change some of the criterion. We can lower or upper a little bit the level. Now this is for writing. For the next one, I chose, well, as you suggested, a speaking rubric, again, an analytic one, which can be used for almost any kind of topic. Okay, so we can evaluate fourth graders on what they did during the weekend, how to prepare a certain dish. We can evaluate maybe seventh graders, maybe an exposition about, I don't know, any a book that they're reading, batch students maybe about something like feminism, technology. So we could actually use this rubric for any topic. We have preparedness. The student needs to feel to portray this confidence when giving his or her presentation. Also, when it comes to having some supporting material, some visual aids, that also comes into place when we're talking about preparedness. Content delivery, that means the student demonstrates a clear understanding of the content and confidently explains it to the class. So again, this seems kind of general, but we can adjust for our own purposes. We could say that The content was delivered in a way that the audience understood the main idea of the presentation, but the idea is to have content delivery. Voice, student keeps eye contact with audience most of the time and seems confident in the posture and delivery. So again, we could say just eye contact and body language. The voice, of course, it has to be clear. The tone of voice has to change depending on what the author, no, the speaker is saying. The speech must be structured. Also, it has to be in complete sentences. It must be coherent so the audience and the teacher can understand what the speaker is saying. And finally, the vocabulary. So the vocabulary, there are some keywords that are related to the topic. So if we're talking about feminism, there should be words that we can easily relate to feminism. And if we're talking about technology, so these words must be related to technology and so on. So as we see, when students are giving an oral presentation, we are not evaluating their overall product. We're evaluating different different aspects. For example, a student might have not delivered the idea correctly, but the student has correct pronunciation. He or she tries to speak in complete statements, and maybe he or she has a correct tone of voice, so we can evaluate these items with the highest grade and maybe give some suggestions to improve um, main ideas, how to share, how to give a main idea so the audience can understand. So actually, both of the rubrics are analytic. That means that they have a, a wide number of criteria, of aspects to evaluate, to give the students the opportunity to feel evaluated in many aspects. Now, this is those were analytic rubrics, but then a holistic rubric will be one that evaluates a product, a final product as a whole, the overall, let's say the overall performance of students. These kind of rubrics are not completely objective because, again, when you evaluate many aspects of a student's work, the students can feel that maybe they're making progress in some areas, while in some others they need to work a little bit more. But with holistic rubrics, it's kind of difficult to identify the areas where students need to work on to make some progress. And that's my presentation, teacher. I hope you find it satisfactory. And I'm sorry if I if I make some mistakes. It's just that I am a little bit nervous and sometimes I tend to do that. But thank you so much for providing us with this opportunity to learn. I always love to record these videos explaining something, because when I explain something, I really feel that I understand it. I didn't know actually the difference between these two kinds of rubrics. Thank you so much. Goodbye and see you next time.